Welcome back, Fantasy Endgame community. I'm Pierre, as always, here to help you with some waiver wire advice. Now heading into week 11 of the 2022 season, and I'm going to talk about some hitters I think worth picking up if they are available in your league. All right, now before I get into this week's picks, I'm actually going to do something I don't usually do, circle back to last week and remind you of some players that are definitely worth adding. They've gotten even hotter since last week, and yet I haven't seen their roster rates really go up that much, at least on Yahoo. So let me just remind you that Jon Berti of the Miami Marlins is somebody who is absolutely worth adding pretty much in any format. Look, he qualifies at middle infield, corner infield, outfield, and he's stealing bases like crazy. Don Mattingly loves to run, finally letting them loose on the base paths. Jon Berti is a guy who will pile up steals, and that's what he's done. He's stolen 7 bases just since June 4th. If you're in a roto league and he's out there, there's no excuse. Just go ahead and grab him. And then Michael Harris, an exciting young rookie. I'm really surprised he hasn't been added in more places. Well, he's finally heating up. He had back-to-back games with a stolen base just a few days ago, and now back-to-back games with a home run. This is a guy who can do it all. He's absolutely worth adding. At the very least, just pick him up so the competition doesn't. All right, on to the new picks. Let's start off with a pair of Rangers. So let's start with Ezequiel Duran. This is a guy who's more of a power first prospect. He was just called up, to kind of fill in the gap that was left by Josh Jung. And so now Duran is going to be a guy who could hold down third base for the Rangers. He's doing a good job so far. He's been playing there every day, batting usually 7th. This guy, he's put together, as of right now, a 5-game hitting streak. He's hitting .325. Not a bad start. He has a pair of homers. He has a pair of steals. And look, this is a player who qualifies also at second base, third base, and shortstop. Look, I picked him up in a couple leagues. I think this is someone who has a lot of upside, especially if this offense keeps clicking the way that it has. That leads me to my next Ranger. That is Nate Lowe. And this is a guy I know I mentioned in the preseason talking about some of my favorite draft sleepers, guys to keep an eye on. I have way too much Nate Lowe, and it wasn't paying off early in the season. Nate Lowe, kind of a big, lanky slugger at first base who hits way too many ground balls. It's starting to finally happen. Maybe it's correcting itself. This is a guy who just in the past 10 days has 5 multi-hit games and 3 homers and 6 RBIs. The power is showing up. We know it's there. It's just finally maybe coming together for him. He is on a hot streak. Now's the time to stream those guys. Look, whether it lasts the rest of the season, who knows, right? We never know, but you have to take advantage while you can. Plug him in your lineup. If he cools off, then you bench him or you drop him. But right now, Lowe, I know is a guy I have a lot of belief in. All right, let's go to a lesser known name. That is Lane Thomas of the Washington Nationals. He was in, fantasy kind of expert community circles, kind of a trendy dark horse sleeper. Some people were saying he's got some hidden upside. He does have decent power, and he could steal a few bases. Well, he hasn't stolen any bases. The power is starting to show up. You might have heard his name if you pay attention to the headlines because he had a 3 home run game just a few days ago. Maybe now starting to put something together. Unfortunately, Washington, not a powerful offense. You would think hitting in front of Juan Soto would be a huge boost. It's kind of been the opposite. Don't know what is wrong with Juan Soto. So Lane Thomas has now been moved up to the leadoff spot, which means with Soto hitting behind him and Nelson Cruz also now kind of getting used to the National League, this offense could be showing signs of improvement. That means more runs scored for Lane Thomas and better pitches that he'll see. So he's got to keep an eye on. I'm not saying he's a must-add, but if you need help at outfield, again, he's a guy who's been hot lately. Take advantage. Now, unfortunately, a lot of Ozzie Albies owners are needing a replacement. Who's going to take his place? Well, nobody, right? You can't replace Ozzie Albies. But who is physically going to be in his place at second base for the Atlanta Braves? Well, it could be Orlando Arcia. He's a guy who has already played a couple times since Albies has been put on the 60-day injured list. That's right, 60 days. But Arcia is a guy you might remember. If you don't know, he's someone who came up with the Brewers as a shortstop. Now, it's interesting because when he came up, he was known more of a glove-first shortstop, a guy who kind of make the bigs based on his defensive strength, and then the bat would see if it would come around. And once he got to the pros, it was the opposite. He did show some power, some pop. His offense was good. The defense betrayed him. In fact, that's why he got moved then to second base and then eventually to the outfield, which is what is interesting because right now in a lot of fantasy leagues, he doesn't even qualify the infield. He only qualifies as an outfielder. So if you're looking to replace or try to replace Albies, well, you can't just plug Arcia in there, even if he's playing for them in Atlanta because in fantasy he doesn't have that eligibility. So you're going to have to be patient and wait a few more days until he gets that eligibility. Now, as far as how he's going to perform, it's so hard to say. He has not had extended time in the majors since he was with Milwaukee a couple of years ago. He's made just sporadic appearances in Atlanta, but he has shown that he at least has some upside. So again, you're desperate, you need somebody to plug in there, try Arcia. And then let's talk prospects. Now is the time to go ahead and grab Oneil Cruz if he's available. This is a guy who's been stashed in a lot of leagues, especially if you have an NA spot. You might know him as the 6'7" shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates, the guy who could absolutely crush the baseball and has been toiling in the minors because, well, Pittsburgh, they want to keep him as long as possible, but now is the time where they can call him up with no penalty as far as service time. If he's out there, this is the time to grab and stash him. And then we started with a Duran. Let's end with another Duran, and that is Jarren Duran of the Boston Red Sox. He was just called up to take the place of Christian Arroyo, who was put on the COVID list. So here's the thing, as with all of these prospects, you know that nothing is guaranteed. If they struggle or if they just need a space, they could be sent right back down. It could just be a few days and he gets sent back down. Not sure if he's there long term. But again, the other side of that is if he does heat up and start playing well, he could stick the rest of the season. It's too soon to say, but again, this is a guy who is not a must-add, but worth a flyer if you're looking for some upside, especially in deeper leagues. Not a power-first guy. He's more of a hit tool with some speed, but, in a good lineup there. Somebody who we've been waiting to see what he could do with extended time in the majors. This could be his opportunity. All right, guys, that's it for my Week 11 waiver wire hitters. Let us know what you think about this. Join us on Discord. That information is in the description below. You can join the conversation, ask your questions about waiver wire options, start sit, trades, wherever you have it. I'm here to help.